Good afternoon and welcome back to our garden. Now today we're going to start with the job that I'm involved with at the moment. That's taking all the pots etc. what we've had around the house, bringing them down and taking the geraniums etc. out that we want to keep for the winter. Now I've told Diane not to water for a few days so that they're dry. If they're a little bit dry, they're easier to take apart. So I'll show you what we do. Right, so we have to get it out of this pot. Lay it and just give, because you haven't watered it, it should come out quite easy. There you are. I'll just take the pot away. We won't be keeping the impatiens and the begonias, obviously they'll go in the bucket for the compost heap. It looks a bit, but we've got to tear it apart. So just open it up. Now it's at this stage where you want to have a good look round for vine weevil. And what you'll find is if you've got impatiens in there, they're what the vine weevil loves. So if you touch it and it comes off, you know you've got vine weevil. These are well rooted, so there's none in this one. Now what I do, I just take that in my hand for a second, and then because we're trying to save as much compost as we can as spent compost for next year, just break it up a little bit. The roots will stay on top anyway, and I'm afraid that goes to the compost bin. There's a little fuchsia here, look, little trailing fuchsia. Just take the bits off. All this will take for spent compost. I'll show you how to do it. There it is, and you just start breaking it with your fingers, giving it a little tap. All we want is that for potting. And you can see it's nice and clean, no vine weevil on that. This you rub through and then it'll just leave the roots on the top. Not that. And then when the wheelbarrow soon fills, and that's the base for next year's compost. Right, we'll just take this one. There's the bits what was in the bottom. Look, we'll keep those separate. Watch those on your fingers, it can be quite sharp. There's some more there. Look. That's the crops. Right, let's get this one. Same again, just open it up with your fingers. There's what we're after, look there, and that can go through. Then those roots, they can go on the compost heap. And what we'll do, we'll reduce it quite a lot. But if you look down the stems and you see a break anywhere, you just take it off. Obviously they're very low down, that one, so we just take that off. That one there's nothing to go to, but if we go there, these will break from here. This one, look, it's got a break there, so it was two actually, so we take that off. There. This one. There. There. These two are growing too tight together, look, so we take that one off. If you don't, they'll only get mildew on them and it'll spread from one to the other. This one breaking down there and there, look. So there's this one left. That's got a break there, look, so we take that. Then we just take these leaves off that are not very good. Just clean it round. Any twiggy bits, take those off as well. that's got a little bit there that's not growing, look, so let's take that out. That'll be fine. Just take one last look at your root, that's nice. Then that's Mr. Gray wants to come and out, but he's not. This compost is actually the spent compost out of the hanging baskets, which are easier because the bottom of the basket goes through better, so I use that. Plus quite a lot of sand, about a third sand in it as well, as you can see. And then I put it in these are old buckets actually, I just cut in half. Put that in there, make sure it's got compost between it and the pot, and then push that over like that. Now when we've got about 6 or 7 plants in there really tight up to one another, then we'll give it a bit of water, put it over there, then take it down to the greenhouse. It'll go in the greenhouse, more or less dry out over the winter, and then in the spring we'll lift them out and pot them. If you can't get them in your greenhouse, you've only got a shed, put them in the shed. But if you've got windows in the shed, put them close to the windows. But if it's going to be a frost, you need to drop something, an old sack or something, between the window and the plants in the very cold weather. The bits we cut off, what we'll do is we won't throw them away, we'll use them. I've got a little bit of rooting powder in the lid, look, that I use, and then I'll just do a couple with you. Let's pick some easy ones. That one, that's a good easy one. I don't want these gloves on to do this. So here we go. We'll just take some of the bottom leaves off. It's a lovely cutting, that is. And any leaves that are damaged, take those off. And you can see that big flower there, look. Take that off, we don't want them flowering. Take them down to 2 or 3 good leaves. That sounds like one of the hens have just come off the laying nest and telling everybody I've laid an egg. When you've done that, then simple knife and just cut below a node like that. Take those little bits off there, look, because they'll absorb the moisture and could go rotten. Touch that, and in this case I'm just using a pencil, putting them in, then using the pencil to close the bottom up so it's not a hung cutting, it's in there nice. I'll do one more. Should we do that one? Got to take these off first. It's a lovely red flower, it's worth doing. You must remember, once you've done it, especially if you're filling a pot out with one plant, to put a label in with the colour on. Work our way up then, taking these off. There's actually another shoot there, look, so we don't want that at this stage. Take them off. And then all these little bits, take those off. This is why I couldn't wear the gloves for it. Not so much bothered about the green bits at the top, but if you wish you can take those off as well. Keep your eye, there's another little, I don't know if you can see it, there's another little flower there, look, we need to take that off. And then let's make a cutting out of it. And then make sure it's firm to the wood and it will cut a lot easier. Touch, pencil, and then use the pencil to dibble it down so it's not hung. and you can get 6, maybe 7 in there, so we could use all those. Once you've overwintered them, they will root through the winter. Obviously you have to keep these a little bit moist where you let the main ones nearly dry out, but they'll be fine. And then in the spring they start to grow and you pop them up. Now, as you can see, I've started quite a few pots here. I've tried to do 1 or 2 of the nice petunias, but you'll find they'll flop because we've just cleaned the roots off. Like this one, it has started to pick up again. I did that yesterday. This one was done this morning, so as you can see it's a bit Now Bacopa's a little bit different. You take these out and you don't cut them back. You don't take too much of the root off neither. And if you just, I'd pot 5 into a 10 litre pot, and then I just get the scissors and cut gently round the bottoms, leave the tops, handful of compost on the top just to fill all the gaps up, and that goes in the greenhouse as it is, and then it will go through the winter. I did try last year because I thought the Bacopa was quite hardy, so I left some in the garden outside the greenhouse. It didn't make it, but the ones that I'd put in the greenhouse, they were fine, ready for the cuttings next year. All this is ongoing now, and there's quite a few pots up at the house, so hopefully next year, apart from a few impatiens which we can grow from seed, we ought to do it really. If we have a propagator, we'll do that. Begonia, even if you get the seed, I don't think you'll be able to do that because it's very, very difficult. We used to do it when we had the nursery, but then it was different gear that we was using. This will give you nearly all your plants for next year's bedding, for a bit of sand and some old compost. That's not so bad. Now we're going to leave this for a short while because there's another job that we need to do, and that's the raspberries. I've set it up, so we'll go and get those summer flowering or summer fruiting raspberries done. Now these are the primer canes. They flower and fruit in the summer, where the floricanes, if you remember, they flowered and fruited early, and we've already cut those down and tied them up. They're actually going into autumn now, so we just leave those alone. But these need the tops completely cutting off. So we need to take all these canes that are on right down to the ground and cut them off. As I say, there's 1 or 2 bits of fruit on, but most of them now have got mildew on and we don't touch them now. Just take these off. Everything. Clean up. I'll just take 1 or 2 from the other side and then we'll show you what we do. They seem to spread a little bit on their own. If they get too far out, we'll dig them up and bring them back. What I find is that if you put some good compost or manure on them, these are alright with manure, you see, because the fruit doesn't touch the floor. They tend to stay in their line, but not always. Just cut them off. I'll do half and then I'll do the other half after we're done. Now I do suggest you wear some decent gloves for these, because they are very prickly on the stems, and if you haven't got gloves on, or thick gloves, they will prick you more or less. I'm trying to put them all the same way for easier picking up, put through the shredder. I think that will do for the demonstration. I'll just rough rake it to get the bits up and knock the nettles off. We get a lot of nettles here. If you use the long tine 4-prong, it seems to go through the roots better and you're not getting stuck on them. If you turn it sideways, it makes a good hoe as well. You just get these nettles out. So you're putting manure on nettles. I'll just take these out. That looks better. Now we'll just pop a few through the shredder to show you. These will go through the shredder and straight onto the compost heap. But I have to put my glasses on. I can't see a thing now, but they'll do. You can see how easy they go through. Now you'll find that you'll get some woody bits. Well, they're not actually woody bits, they're like the skin off the canes. But they, believe it or not, they rot down very, very quickly because you've opened it up. So the whole lot can go straight into the bin and rot down very well. Now, as you can see, this is the manure I'm going to use. It's very, very well rotted down, and there's straw in it. I build the heap up with straw, then manure, then straw, and this is the finished product. Because the raspberries are not low down like the strawberries are, and they'll splash, or even the lettuce, you can use manure. On the things that can get splashed, we'll use the garden compost, not manure. As you can see, it's good stuff. By doing this, it gives a good winter cover, and also with all that goodness there, the canes tend to stay within that rather than going out. But saying that, you get one or two good covering. As you can see, it doesn't look like manure now. Just beat it down a little bit. If I do get plenty of barley straw, I've got some bales coming but they haven't arrived yet. But if I've got plenty, I'll just put a cover of that on it as well and let that all rot down together. What you find is when you're doing it down the garden, not so much in here because they can't get in, but the blackbirds and the thrushes absolutely love to come to this and throw it all about, and they've got a good knack of always throwing it on the path. But that's basically all we do to the primer canes this time of year. Now we're in for some warm weather in the next few days, so hopefully the few tomatoes that are left on the plants will ripen enough for us to pick them. If not, then we'll pick them green and we'll finish them in the house, and then I shall remove the tomato plants, put them through the shredder exactly the same as these canes, and onto the compost bin. The other thing will be next week we need to put the tree grease on the apple and plum tree. So if you're going to do it and you do get some tree grease, put it somewhere warm which is easier to apply. And the other thing is we need to clean that rhubarb up. It's dying back now, so we need to get down there, clean it, manure it, and then let it sit ready for winter. But that's next week. Thank you for watching. Nice to have you with us, and we'll see you again soon. Bye now.